1 to go in NASCAR's chase for the Sprint Cup. Today, the Magic Mile plays host to the chase race number 2. There are 12 teams looking for that championship spark and that all-important win.
We're half a lap from the start of this race. Track measures just over a mile around, but it is a 300-lap race today, and that calculates out to 317.4 miles. Remember, the winning strategy in the July race here this year was Ryan Newman's team changing their left side tires only once during the day. All the other pit stops were rights. It was about keeping track position, which means being up front. Who's up front when they wave the checkered flag after race number 2 in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup? Green flag is out. Ryan Newman, bonus point, leading the first lap of the race. Red Bull Racing side by side for second place. Behind them, Jeff Gordon, little wiggle and wobble there. And cleanly through the first lap and a half.
See Kevin Harvick working all over the back bumper, Jeff Gordon.
Greg Biffle really struggling with his race car there too. He really was slow getting off of turn 2. We saw him lock the brakes up going into 1 on the initial start.
Yeah, I saw that smoke. That came from Biffle. I thought maybe it was from Harvick.
There's Biffle in the 16, Jeff Gordon 24, and Kurt Busch in that 22 car, looking pretty sporty, although we're just a couple of laps in.
Kevin Harvick, as you said, looking very racy from the very beginning right now.
Here's Casey Kane in the 4, trying to get by his teammate Brian Vickers in the 83 for second spot.
I talked to a lot of people that said this 4 car, Casey Kane, was really good in practice yesterday. It had speed and it had longevity with its setup.
And 3 wide, here comes Kurt Busch down low. Kevin Harvick going to ease in behind Greg Biffle and make that just double wide into the corner. Smartly so.
See Kurt Busch get a little bit loose there. I'm sure he's kind of taking it easy. Here comes Jimmy Johnson to the inside, trying to take a spot away.
56, Martin Truex Jr., Kyle Busch in the 18, also in the picture there. And that's a race for 7th, 8th, and 9th.
Really seeing these cars sliding around. This is totally different conditions than what they saw here in any of the 3 practice sessions between Friday and Saturday. So there's going to be a lot of adjusting going on when they hit pit road the first time.
You know, we heard Carl Edwards talking about how they had planned on the track being a lot slicker, but sometimes you just can't predict exactly what the car is going to do when the track does heat up.
A couple things to point out about this racetrack as you watch Dale Earnhardt Jr. try and get a spot on Kyle Busch there. Jr. in the 88, trying to pick up 10th. This racetrack has 2 different levels of banking in the corner. The lowest lane, very, very, very slightly banked. A little more banking a lane up, a little more another lane up from the racetrack.
Yeah, you'd think that that would enhance the racing to be a little bit higher. Right now, we're seeing all the cars running way down on the bottom, some of them actually on the apron, where there's really no banking.
Yeah, if they get some laps on the tires and the air pressure build up, we'll see some drivers do what we call diamond a little bit, slide up in the center, get a better, straighter run off the corner. But you really don't want to get up where that 7 degrees of banking comes into play. That just means you're either dodging something or you're in serious trouble.
Yeah, you're about to wreck. Here's Monday's winner, Tony Stewart in the 14. Tony came within a lap of winning this race last September. He finished 2nd in the race here in July, but he's starting a lot farther back in traffic, and we've talked all the way through Countdown about track position and how important it's going to be. But Jamie McMurray was on pit road a couple of laps ago. Now Paul Menard, David Reagan, and others making green flag pit stops here as the lead changes hands.
Finally paid off for Casey Kane. He dogged him for quite a few laps and finally got him.
Pit stops, Jamie.
And David Reagan in the 6, you see the team working on the left-hand side. He said he was loose, but like many of these drivers said, it was getting better as they went. They'll fill it up with Sunoco fuel and 4 tires down and away. Casey Kane on the right-hand side. Meanwhile, right when he took the lead, he gets a point. I believe he led 1 complete lap. Casey Kane, though, they said not getting the best of fuel mileage, so they knew they were going to have to be one of the first ones down pit road. He's saying the car is getting better. He was loose early, but tight in traffic. Let's go over to Dave.
Clint Boyer had made his way up to 9th. They are going to go down to the track bar, 4 tire change, full of Sunoco fuel. His car just a little bit loose. That's the first Childress car to hit pit road. Actually, the second one, Jamie.
And Casey Kane's team continues to work. They made track bar, wedge, air pressure adjustment, all for Casey Kane. It was a good stop. He's down and away, Alan.
And once the cycle has begun, the cycle will pick up speed. Ryan Newman still on track, but Kevin Harvick, Jimmy Johnson, and more on pit road. Dave?
Kevin Harvick had been running in the 6th position. They'll take air out of the front tires to help his car turn better in the center of the corner. Jimmy Johnson is in as well. It'll be a wedge and air pressure adjustment for Johnson. His car was mostly tight here on lap 62. Jamie?
And Carl Edwards made his way onto pit road, said he's just a little loose through the middle. Air pressure adjustment and 4 tires for the 99. And I know the 22 and 2 getting ready to come as well.
Jeff Gordon with a bonus point for leading a lap during the cycle of pit stops, as Ryan Newman gives up the lead and comes to pit road. Doc, he's got to dodge Carl Edwards there.
And he just gets by. Carl goes up and he comes to the left and gets in his pit stall. Ryan Newman said the car's pretty good, a little bit loose on entry, a little tight in the middle, a little loose off quarter-pound air pressure left rear. Going to get it full of fuel. Oh, they have a problem with the air hose in the left front. He got hung on the fender. Let's check out on the 22, Jamie.
And this is what Kurt Busch needed. Needed some adjustments to make this car better. Said it plows everywhere, no speed, center off, 4 tires, rubber in the right rear, and an air pressure adjustment. Vince?
For Jeff Gordon in the 24, they're going to put a round and a half in the right rear. It's a little loose getting in and way too tight through the center toward the end of that run for Gordon. It's a 4-tire change for the 24.
So Regan Smith, not yet having pitted, is the new leader of the race. And after Smith comes down pit road, that's going to pretty much wrap up the cycle of pit stops among the front runners.
Yeah, but Ryan Newman with that problem lost a lot of time to Casey Kane, who had just taken the lead from him. So we'll have a big change there. Matter of fact, Biffle and Jeff Gordon both beat Ryan Newman out of the pits. Yeah, Casey Kane's team had a great pit stop, got him way out in front. Now in the second place, looks like it's going to be Brian Vickers. Yeah, Vickers had a good stop. He's actually in front of Jeff Gordon on the track now.
And here comes Smith to complete the cycle of pit stops. Brian Vickers is the race leader as the cycle continues. There's the 83, waiting on Kevin Harvick, Jimmy Johnson, and about 5 others to come down pit road before you might see Casey Kane cycle back toward the front. Bobby Labonte, one of those we were waiting on, Dave.
Yep, the former champion back on pit road, Alan. His balance has been back and forth. This time he just asked for 4 tires and no changes, so a better end of the day than it started for Labonte.
Got a 7th place finish here in the July race by having the right strategy and being able to be under power to the checkered flag when a lot of others weren't. Vickers giving the wave.
Yeah, just letting him know that he's going to be coming in. That's Denny Hamlin that's right behind him.
Allmendinger's on pit road, Vince.
He was 27th last week at Chicagoland, but overall he's been running better the last month and a half. Greg Irwin, the new crew chief there, seemed to hit on something with AJ. A little bit loose on entry, 4 tires and fuel for the 43. Now the 83 of Brian Vickers, they had that great starting position earlier today, but they've been going backwards a little bit. Brian still's been arching the corner into the car into 1 and 2, trying to get the car to roll a little better. They're going to make an air pressure adjustment with this 4-tire change on the 83 for Vickers.
All right, thanks. And right side of the screen, you saw Kevin Harvick slowing. One of the guys yet to make the stop in this cycle. There is the 29, Dave.
His car's a little tight in the middle of the corner, a little loose coming off of the corner. So right now it's going to be an air pressure adjustment for Harvick on that race car.
And while he stops, Jimmy Johnson is actually going to go to the lead and collect a bonus point for leading a lap. And in this expected to be closest of championships, every point counts. Lead the lap, hit pit road.
When his car gets to the center of the corner, Alan, it won't turn the way he wants it to. The red's going in is for wedge, and they'll also make a slight air pressure adjustment as well. Johnson pitting here on lap 239. That means he will be able to get to the end for sure. We'll see how it works out for him.
All right, so Jimmy headed back out onto the racetrack. 56 of Martin Truex Jr. is the race leader. Kurt Busch is second. Jamie McMurray is third. They have yet to pit on this cycle. Casey Kane, remember, made the early move to pit road. And Jeff Gordon with the long pit stop because the car appeared to be out of fuel. So there's Casey Kane in the 4. And wait on Jeff Gordon, because he's a bit behind him. And that pit stop cost him some ground. We go NASCAR Nonstop, presented by Goodyear. Almost through the cycle of green flag pit stops, not quite, and some pretty intense racing on the track in the Sylvania 300 at New Hampshire.
Yeah, Jimmy's been trying for about 4 laps to get around the 20 car here. Joey Logano, see just how loose he is. Might be a little contact here shortly. He's been trying to stay off of him, but he might have used up all of his patience right there.
Kevin Harvick there as well in the 29. This is for, believe it or not, 18th, 19th, and 20th places. Kurt Busch is the race leader, collecting, there's some contact there on the right side of the screen, collected a point toward that championship, and now he's on pit road, Jamie.
Yes, he did. Stayed out and led 4 laps. Their off strategy here, of course, their day has not gone so well. They failed pre-race inspection for the rear end housing being out too far. They adjusted that. The car has not been good. They're making their way up. Said he's bad loose on exit wedge adjustment. Air pressure adjustment in the left rear, 4 tires. He's down and away.
So that completes the cycle of pit stops and gives the lead back to Casey Kane. Got pretty intense there with Johnson and Logano and Harvick.
Well, it's getting down to that time. You can't waste much time. Jimmy's pretty far behind, so he can't take any chances of messing around with any lap or with any cars. You can see just how sideways that is, leaving marks.
After the flat tire, Dale Earnhardt Jr. has gotten back on the lead lap in the cycle of pit stops. He's 22nd. Jeff Gordon is 4th, 1.8 seconds behind Casey Kane. And there's the race for the lead, 4 and 33. As we go NASCAR Nonstop, presented by Goodyear. Things are happening in a hurry here at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. As you saw in NASCAR Nonstop, new leader is that man, Clint Bowyer, 2-time winner at this New Hampshire track, who squeezed his way out into the #1 spot and has brought some company with him.